Well, hello there, all you audaciously confident people out there today. It's Alicia Couri, your Red Carpet CEO, and I'm here to influence, educate, inspire, and entertain you so you can step into your own audacious confidence and do more, be more, have more, and live the life of your dreams without limits. And today we're talking publishing. We're talking publishing. So let me ask you, how many of you have either written a book, thought about writing a book, desired to write a book, or feel like there's no way I can write a book? I think I've covered everybody in that statement. Well, my guest today is going to help you understand that it's not just about writing the book. Everybody is so, like, they get so intimidated about writing the book. Like, the book is the big thing, when really the book is the last thing. There's a lot more that has to happen before we even get to the book to make your book a success. And so I was really excited that she said yes to being a guest on the show. It's been a while coming since last year. Since I met her last year. I met her at a podcasters conference last year, and I thought that what she had created was so super special, and it was nothing like I have ever really seen before. So I want to tell you a little bit about my guest, Juliet Clark. So Juliet is a dynamic and sought after speaker and podcaster who has spent the last 20 years helping authors, coaches, speakers, and small businesses all over the world build expert platforms. A veteran of traditional publishing and corporate advertising, Juliet thought she would have no problem publishing her first book. What she encountered was a system that did not benefit business owners who were writing and publishing expert books. No one in the self-publishing industry was helping new business authors understand how to build a platform that created sales for their books, products, and services. Most authors considered the book to be the magic bullet that everyone was looking for to generate more revenue for them. What they did not understand is the problem was not selling products and services, was not a book issue. It was the lack of a platform. So I would like to welcome, so we can talk about platform and book publishing and profiting, Miss Juliet Dylan Clark. Come on up to the show. Hi.
Hi, thank you.
You're very welcome. So it's not the book, it's the platform. And I have to say, when I published my very first book, I was told I needed a book to help sell my program. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, because that didn't happen.
Yes, that's so typical though. That's what we found around 2013. People were bringing us their books to publish, and we heard the same story over and over about, I went to a business growth seminar or webinar, and they told me my products and services weren't selling because I wasn't an expert, but I would be after I published the book.
Yes.
And with my advertising background, I kind of looked at it and went, no.
That's not going to work. So
Right.
This first segment, we're going to talk really about building a platform. We're going to talk about promote, because you came up with this system because all of your background, your experience was telling you, your experience not just in advertising, but in publishing too, was telling you that things are backwards here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So think about it. If you're a coach, an author, speaker, those are generally the core of our business. If you've created products and you've never spoken to anybody, you've never gotten feedback, you just said, I have this great idea, I'm creating a product, and then you can't sell it, your business has a problem. And it's not a problem a book is going to solve. The book is going to end up being another failed product. So before you do anything, you need to go back and find out, do I have a viable product here that I'm selling? And what is my audience for that, if I do?
Right. That makes so much sense. Duh. You're not dialed in on your product, and you're not dialed in on who your target audience is either.
That is very true. And think about it for a minute. Most publishing, you're going to make $1, maybe $2 a book. Those programs and services that you've created, that's where your money's at. So the book is not going to bring people back there. So that is usually the biggest problem we find is when we use our platform and go back and test the product, test the idea on the platform, we either find out that you have a product that's not viable or you're in front of the wrong audience. So a lot of times we have to work and do some shifting to get in front of the right audience, or take the feedback we're getting from the platform and create the product in a different way, which we've had both situations happen to make people profitable.
So you have this big idea in your mind of, in your head that you want to write this book all about this. This is what I'm writing my book about. And that's what people come to you. I want to write a book about this. And then you sit back and you go through this process and you're like, that's not what people want at all. That's not what they're looking for. It's like, so instead of wasting your time writing all this stuff, you can reposition yourself and say, either I'm going to give the people what they're actually asking for, or maybe look for the people that want what I do want to write about.
Yes, but it's even bigger than that, because if you look at what's going on with books, that we're writing books without feedback from an audience, a lot of times that's what we do with our courses too. Our courses, our coaching programs, whatever we're doing, we created it all and we never really got feedback. And we think the answer is going to a big marketing company and, we're paying a lot of money.
More social media.
Yeah.
Spending on social media ads. That's what they'll convince you. You got to buy more ads.
Right. We have to get more clicks. We have to drive more traffic. The best place to test that is to get out and speak and use the assessment and look at the feedback. Look who's answering. Look how they're answering. And then figure out from the way ours works, the way our platform works, are they somebody who's going to buy? Because you can test it, but if they don't put out money or they don't say they would put out money, you haven't got a viable product. So it's really about testing a lot of metrics and going from clicks to conversations. Because with those, with those coaching programs and services, those high ticket programs, nobody's just going to click and pull out a credit card and give you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. It requires conversations and trust.
Yes. So tell us about the platform itself and the assessment. How does it work? Like, walk us through.
So the platform is actually, I didn't create the platform we used. I took a course from the creator of it and decided that I could use this in the book world. She wasn't using it that way. So what we do is we sit down and we look at your programs and what you would like to write the book about. And we determine the success principles inside of that. So we break it out into categories. We break it out into statements. They're not questions, they're statements. And we ask the people to evaluate where they are in relationship to success. Now, the reason that works is because people are curious about why they're not getting to success. Mm-hmm. So when you position it that way, they're curious. I want to see where I'm really at here. So that's the first thing. That's how you get people to take it. The second thing is the way these are designed, you know who in your audience is your best client within 180 seconds. Because we have algorithms that run in the background and they're based on 3 key statements. And the statements are surrounding, are you committed to solving the problem? Because we know there are a lot of people that aren't. Yeah. Are you willing to invest to solve the problem? And would you set an appointment? And that actually spins off a high, medium, and low autoresponder. And depending on where you fit, you have commitment appropriate offers. So just right out of the gate, high commitment, you're going to get my calendar because you've just you've pre-qualified yourself into what's going on and that you're committed to solving the problem. If you're medium, this is where the book can come in later. Mm-hmm. A book is sort of a loss leader. So if someone doesn't really know you, they kind of think they want to find out more about you, but they need a little bit of nurturing. That book is that for those medium nurture people, that's where you put that. when you actually have the right book written, because nobody has a problem with spending $20, but they're not going to spend $2,000 today unless they know you and know more about you.
Right.
So that's where you can start selling those books when
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. It's easier, an easier commitment.
Yes. And then the low commitment people, we give them some content. We put them in our list. We keep in touch, but we don't spend a lot of time on appointments and conversations. And if you think about this, this is really a smart lead magnet, because we all got these big unengaged lists from lead magnets where we exchange something for free.
Yeah.
For an email address. Now it really is an even exchange. We're giving them a tool to self-evaluate where they're at, and we're getting a lot of consumer information. We're getting lead generation and lead qualification. So it really is an even exchange of information.
Wow. It sounds like a really, really powerful tool. That's why I was saying, I know it's something that I didn't realize how important it is. And I think because I really didn't have a service, like I didn't have a group coaching program. I didn't have anything like that. So when we met, it wasn't really something that I was looking at, because I'm like, well, that sounds great, but how does a book fall in place with this? Like, how are you helping me publish my book? But I have to do this assessment. I have to create this assessment before I publish my book. That doesn't make any, how does that make sense? So I have a lot more clarity about why you need to use this platform, build it and use it, because people start to self-identify where they fall in your process, which is so important, because so many times we're out there, like I like to say, chumming the water, hoping, someone will, snatch our line that we have out there. So question is, what then what do they have to really know about themselves or their product or services to write this assessment?
So that's where I come in, because the statements and categories are very important. If you look at some of the people out there that are using Jotform, Typeform, SurveyMonkey, they're using all sorts of buttons, all sorts of fill-ins, things like that. So from a neuromarketing standpoint, people see that as out of alignment. They don't even know why, but they just know it doesn't feel right. The way we do it, we position those statements in a way where they're self-reflective. But what you do need to know about your own program are the success principles of it. You need to know what it takes to be successful at what you teach. And so that's where we get into a quandary with some of the coaches, because, this is the first time they've taken a stab at this expert thing or whatever they're doing. And, a lot of times we have to go back to previous clients to get testimonials, case studies, like what are really the results that you're getting for this program? And that pushes a lot of people, because in the past they haven't really done that in a meaningful way. So that's where I come in with it. We look at the program, talk to you, and then we go through and we determine what those categories are. And most of the time I end up writing the statements for you.
Wonderful. So this is a part of a personal branding exercise, actually, to really dig deep and really understand who you are, what you're offering, and what the results are. So that's excellent. It's a lot of work, but it is so valuable and so worth it. So I love the assessment tool. And so let's move to our next segment, because as we come to the close of this segment, I just want to remind you guys, hello, I am your host, Alicia Couri, your Red Carpet CEO, and you're watching the Audacious Confidence Show, and my special guest is Juliet Clark, and she is really the person that you want, if you're a coach, if you're an author, if you're a speaker, to help you sell your products and programs, put together the right platform so that you can profit from what you're doing. And do you like that segue there? Our next segment is all about profiting, because before you publish, you need to know that what you're doing is profitable. And that's where Juliet comes in. So she helps you build that platform so that you can profit. So how does this work now? You know, you have your platform, you have your assessments, you're out there speaking, and you're using the assessment tool when you're speaking. So you give them like a link to go to when you're speaking, and they go to the link and they fill it out.
Yes. So we have a segmentation that we help you put inside of your talk. You actually have people in the room take out the phone, or you can do this in pre-marketing and go to a special URL. And usually it's a catchy URL that people will remember. And you give them the 3 minutes to take it right in the room.
Right.
So you're lead capturing there, and you're also lead generation qualifying as well. So if you have a team in the room, you can see in real time who's actually ready to invest or who to have that conversation with.
How valuable is that?
Yeah, that is awesome. That has helped a lot of people in their workshops from the stage. I mean, they know right away people actually will set appointments if they're high commitment right there in the room with you. So it is really a good tool in that sense. But that's where the profit comes in, because think about it. We had a product or service that wasn't really selling all that well. That's why we were going to write the book. So now we're out and we're using the tool, we're driving people into the conversations, and we are actually selling our programs now. So that's the first part of the profit, because those programs are actually where we're going to make our money.
Correct.
Now, the really cool part of that is now we have clients, we have validation, we have testimonials, we have case studies. Now we have a viable product, and we're ready to go into the expert writing of the book, because we know exactly what they want to hear from us.
Wow. Because now you're not just writing from theory, or you're not just writing from a little bit of experience, you're actually filling up the book with a lot of case studies, a lot of stories, a lot of not just your story, but a lot of other people's stories that were clients of yours that you saw the transformation happen. And that's what makes you an expert. It's working with many people and being able to show the results of your work. So that is phenomenal. Love it. And then that drives more profit. So once you publish the book, how does that now, because you were saying in the last segment that you use it as a loss leader for those in that middle range that aren't ready to make a commitment, but how else can it profit you other than the program that you're selling?
Well, the program you're selling, the speaking, just being out and getting yourself known, building your list. Because in order to make a bestseller list, if you're publishing, you need to have an audience to purchase that book. So putting those people from the audience, whether it is your high commitment people, your medium commitment, or low commitment people, those are your book buyers now. Because they are following you, you have a social media following that you're building. So it's all leading up to the book launch, and profiting even more from the people who are reading your book, who needed nurturing, and now they're ready for next steps. They're seeing what you're doing. They see that you're credible, that you actually have clients and a sustainable business, and they're ready to start talking to you about working with you.
That's excellent. Excellent. Talk to me a little bit about bestseller lists.
Bestseller lists. So as you all know, bestseller on Amazon can be faked. It's a fake bestseller list. What you really, really should be looking at if you want a credible bestseller is building the kind of list or the kind of community who will promote your book that will move you up to USA Today or Wall Street Journal. And if you're really industrious, New York Times, but that takes a whole lot. And most likely, if you're self-published, you're not going to make the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah. So, but you want to try to get on USA Today or Wall Street Journal bestseller list.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, but the list you want to aspire to is the USA Today or Wall Street Journal.
Yes, both of those will get you significant credit, will give you significant credibility if you're a speaker. Having a book that has been on one of those lists is kind of a slam dunk. People will be looking for you, not you looking for them.
That's right. And then that offers more speaking opportunities, more book sales, more program sales, more people on your list. So it becomes a very, very profitable cycle.
Yes, it definitely does.
So this show is about audacious confidence. And so I think a lot of times the idea of putting yourself out there is scary for people. And I like the idea of really building this platform so that you can use it to really understand what your audience is. So other than speaking, where else can you like position this platform so that you can start getting the results, from people?
You can start tiptoeing into social media. I know I have 3 Facebook groups, and the lower level, like the entry level, you actually have to take this to get into the group. Mm-hmm. And so we figure if you're not willing to take 3 minutes and take a quiz, you're probably not our people. And the result of that is we have a much more engaged group because I know what the problems are. I can see from the patterns in the quiz what is going on with those people, and that allows me to provide better content on my podcast for them. Another place you can use it is list regeneration. If you have a list that is somewhat dead, a bigger list, you can actually go through and tell people, hey, we're moving in this direction, and I'd love to have you take this and tell us, what's going on. Last May, I actually did that to my list, and I got rid of 5,000 people who never opened the email. I said, okay, I'm looking for a smaller, more engaged audience instead of a bigger, non-engaged audience. Yeah.
Big dead list.
Yeah, big dead list. We all got those because we use dumb lead magnets with free stuff is how we got those.
Yes. So so there are multiple ways that you can use this, because I'm talking about people who probably aren't speakers, but you have a product or service that you want to sell, and now you can use it in multiple ways to actually engage an audience and find out who is your ideal client and what are they looking for. So I love that you have other avenues that people can use it. It's not just on a stage speaking. You can do it in a webinar. That's speaking too. You can do it on a webinar if you launching something.
You can use it in a webinar. I just was on Scott Carson's live summit, and I used it on there. People took it. It was kind of cool because I had my other computer going, and because it's real time, I could actually see and thank those people in the middle of the presentation, and the people who scheduled were coming across as well, who actually scheduled appointments. So that was really a bonus. And the great part of it was that I was actually showing them it worked, because as I was congratulating them, they could see that they had taken it and I got results. Another place that's really popular to use this are radio shows and podcasts. And let me tell you why. A lot of times the radio station or iTunes will own your stats. You'll know how many downloads, but you won't actually know who's listening. So when you use it there, you start to have conversations with your listeners, and you actually get to see who's listening. And about 2 years ago, we had a radio host who did this, and she was a women's empowerment coach. And everything, all of her branding was pink, her Facebook was girly. And we actually found out that most of the people taking the assessment were men. Right? We never knew. They were listening to the show. They wanted to see, what they could do for the women in their lives. And so she went back and rebranded, and things started moving. She just needed to make it more male friendly. So it's things like that because somebody else owns the stats, you don't really know until you test.
Right. You don't have like the down into the nitty gritty of the stats to know exactly what's going on. So I love this tool. Oh my goodness. Listen, if you guys are listening, if you guys are checking it out, you need to get in touch with Juliet after this because um, I know a lot of people that can probably benefit from this. So next, I want to move on to the next segment because I think we want to also talk about publishing, and I want to give that a lot of time so that we can really dive into publishing and writing and everything. So again, you're watching the Audacious Confidence Show here on Dramaniac TV. I am your host, Alicia Couri, and I am talking to my guest, Juliet Clark, who is an expert in the publishing world, but not just for publishing, because she also is an expert in advertising and making sure that you promote and profit before you even publish, so that you have money coming in, because it's really, really hard to publish a book thinking that's going to be the magic bullet and you're not making any money. So you spent money on graphics, you spent money on editing, you spent money on putting all this book together, and then you launch the book, you create this whole launch plan, and then nothing, crickets. And honestly, I've done it. I've followed a launch plan for my first book, of the person who helped me, the company that helped me write the book, and gave me all the things that I needed to do. I followed everything that needed to be done, and still crickets. And so I really love this process. So tell me, first of all, how long usually does this process take? The promotion and then to the publishing?
I try, and sometimes people are in an instant gratification mode, so I fail.
No, this is not an instant gratification thing.
No, it is not. It is not. So I try to get you to start doing this right before you start the book. So ideally, you start with the assessment, getting yourself out there a good year before the book is published. And then however long it takes you to gather the information and then start writing. So it takes a while. It doesn't happen in a day. For some people, if they're not vigilant about it, it doesn't happen in a year. And I'll tell you why.
Like I said, it takes people years to even get up the courage to write the book in the first place. So why not start doing your market research before you get the courage to actually write the book? It'll give you more courage to write the book, because now you'll know exactly what to write.
Well, you have the confidence to write the right book. So that's the first thing. But here is the conundrum that a lot of authors have. I want to be famous, but I don't want anybody to see me. That happens.
I had that. Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I want to be an expert. I want to get bookings. I want to be on podcasts and on stages, but I don't want anybody to see me.
Right.
I don't want to be on social media. No. I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the introvert in all of us. And for some people, it's not even the introvert. It is, I seriously have to push people sometimes with the book because they get scared. And that's pretty normal. You get scared about, who am I to do this? Who am I? Am I really an expert? I mean, talk about a time of doubt and indecision.
That's the imposter syndrome that comes in and starts to take hold. And so, yeah, we have to be able to have the tools to overcome that for our clients too. And I'm doing a whole talk on the imposter syndrome coming up at WordCamp Miami 2020 this week. But it's really, people don't even recognize that it's happening.
No, they don't. They don't. They just, what it looks like is writer's block or procrastination. And I have this theory about writer's block because I wrote so many mystery novels about, the God or universe, whoever you believe in, gave you this incredible talent to share with the world. But there's this blockage in there where whoever it is kind of says, okay, I'm going to let you run with this, but you've got some healing to do. And so I think every book is a journey when you write it in some way. And you may not even realize it sometimes, but it provides healing of something. So that's just my own personal thing about book writing. I really think that that's how we self-sabotage ourselves in some way with writer's block.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And hi, Diane. I saw her pop in. It's absolutely true. It does look like procrastination or writer's block because you start devaluing the brilliance that's inside of you. You start devaluing and thinking, nobody's gonna, that's what happened to me. Oh my gosh. I was writing this book about anti-aging, and I'm like, who's gonna listen to me? Who's gonna want to read what I wrote? Who's gonna care? And so you know, you have that thing going on in your mind when really there are people out there saying, I wish someone would write a book about this.
You know? Right? Yes. So in my case, it was mystery novels. So my big fear was, oh my God, everybody's going to think I'm a sociopath. And then I just had to own it. So maybe I am, and get over it.
There's a follow-up question to what we're talking about, but I really want to hear about your books because this is such a great story. And so let's talk about your very first book and why you chose to write mystery novels.
So I'm an avid mystery reader. I love Michael Connelly. There's a lot of mystery authors I really like. Always wanted to write a book, never had time. And in 2007, I was going through this horrendous divorce. No one could be adults, me included. I'm not going to blame it all on him, but it was both of us. And so I sat down and I started writing, and I was really, really angry at him. And so I just killed him in the book. And, you know, we lived in Valencia, California then, a fairly small bedroom community north of Los Angeles. And everybody who read the book knew it was him because I did such a great job describing him. And people would come up and say, wait, did you kill Jack in the book? Jack might actually be watching. But, and, you know, I said no for a while because I was like, yeah, we've got kids. I can't. Yeah. And then I just was like mad one day and I was like, yeah, it was you.
I did it. It was my healing. It was my process. I was able to heal through this.
It was. So here's what I tell people. I'm blonde. So in order for me to really kill him, I would have spent the rest of my life in felony orange. And for blondes, it's not a good color. So I always tell people if it'd been royal blue that felons lived in, might have ended up a different story.
So you started writing mystery novels. You're in the publishing world, and you thought, piece of cake, I can publish this, self-publish, and I know advertising, I know publishing, but what happened?
So I hired one of the big self-publishers out there. I won't name them, who they are, but as soon as I got in, I realized, like, this isn't right. This isn't what we did in traditional publishing. And so, you know, every little thing was being nickeled and dimed to death. And then we got to the end where they actually priced the book. And I realized that they marked the cost of the book up, which for an author, that means that they're taking a piece of your royalty. And think about it this way. Imagine that you went to the Kinko's or Office Depot or someplace like that, and you said, hey, Alicia, will you design a business card for me and then print them? Mm-hmm. So you design it, I pay you $70, you love it, I love it. And then you come back and you print the box and you charge me for the box and you say, hey, Juliet, by the way, every time you make a sale with one of these cards, I get half of it. That's what those big self-publishers were doing. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a crooked deal here that's going on. So they were marking up the book. Amazon wanted, you know, traditional publisher distribution fees. And it was literally leaving the author, some of those big companies, with a $30 book that they were making $1 on. And books are kind of like houses. If you don't see the value, you're not going to pay the money for it.
Right, exactly. And that's so true. And this is why I love the fact that you worked with traditional publishing. So now when you help someone publish, you have that experience of a big traditional publisher that you bring to not just the writing of the book, the editing of the book, the marketing of the book, every aspect of the book. But from the other side, because you are also an author, that the author benefits.
Yes, Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things when we put the assessment system together for our authors, when we used it with them, one of the big complaints we got was that when you launch, you sell a decent amount of books and then you never sell another book again. I know. So right? So the assessment being that small mini funnel, every time you go out and speak, or every time you're on a podcast, you're a guest, a radio show, a TV show, and you have people go to your assessment, the thank you page is the book. So you have ongoing book sales right up in Amazon. It keeps your book up towards the top. You're not like number 2,000,007 out of 20,000,007 and nobody will ever find you. Your book is actually creeping up and on page 1 because you're relevant.
That's a big word. You're relevant. Oh my gosh. So where have you been all my life, Julia? Telling you. So again, you're able to break through the fear barrier, that terror barrier of actually writing the book with the assessment tool that you help build on the front end, because now it's not just on your shoulders. It's not just all about you. And you can go to your author and say, what about these stories over here? You don't have writer's block. Look how much material you got.
Right?
This is not writer's block. What else is going on here? Let's deal with the real issue that you're dealing with, because you don't have writer's block.
Yeah, so I see this a lot with people who have podcasts that are transcribed into blogs. They'll start writing the book and they'll say, I don't know what to write. Well, you have 100 episodes of your podcast that you've now transcribed into blogs. What do you mean you don't have any content? That, right? So a lot of times we just get in that, like, it's almost like blinders with that. We are so invested in, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do next. And that's actually where the assessment helps as well, because when you start seeing patterns inside of the results where people need help, you know exactly what your next move is with content. So to give you an example, if I had an assessment and people were saying over and over, I need help with, a television show, I don't know how to produce one, then, I know that, I'm going to start producing content in that area. I'm just using that example for someone like you. That's where they need to know the nuts and bolts, the how-to of what all goes into it. And there's a lot that goes into it. Mm-hmm. So then you're able to address that in a way where they can stand up and go, wow, she's giving me some really practical, good information and it's working. So when she makes that offer, I should really consider it.
Yeah. Excellent. This is my next question, because you do have a 3-step process here. It's promote, profit, and publish. Can someone just use the assessment tool? Let's say they don't even want to write a book yet. They haven't even gone that far in their head to writing a book. Can they use the assessment tool only and figure out their business strategy, and just use it to capture leads?
Yes, and we have a lot of clients who do that. They've never gotten to the book stage, and the reason is they didn't think they had to. They were able to build the business to the point where a book didn't even seem necessary anymore. It would have been nice, but they didn't need it. So there's that. But here's the other thing that happens. Sometimes we'll have people that I'm literally their last hope. They've been, so the coaching industry, it has this horrible bootstrap your way to bankruptcy model.
Yeah, I have a coach that says it's the upside down pyramid of bankruptcy. Yeah. Because instead of it going like this to the top, it's actually this way. And the top is bankruptcy. Yeah. So just spending more.
Yes. And for most of us, we're bootstrapping. We're not going out and getting a loan. It's not like a bigger business. So what it does for people is, when I get beginners that are coming in that have a coaching program, it validates for them before they spend a whole lot of money on all these other coaches. The one thing I hear a lot is, I spent a lot of money on an online course, coach. So now I have an online course and I have no idea
who to sell it to or how to sell it.
if anybody wants it. And by the way, they had a marketing program in there, but it just didn't work. So it really is a point where you can validate. If this is something that's not going to make you money, stop.
Yes.
Yeah, stop now.
Stop going to the next coaching program and the next coaching program that's going to, because it's like, oh, you need PR. That's what you need. Because or you need to be in magazines, or you need to be on TV, or you need to be in this, and you need to be in that. But you don't even know if what you have even works. This is the foundation.
Yes, exactly. And you mentioned Facebook ads earlier. If you go to a marketing company, they're going to charge you the ad spend. They're going to charge you a monthly fee for creating the ads, for running the ads. And, I've mentioned to people a lot of times where those marketing companies get really invested in clicks.
Yeah.
If you call Lexus on the day your car payment's due and say, hey, I didn't make any money last month, but I have 1,000 clicks. Can I make my car payment? Chances are they're going to hang up on you.
Exactly. So Sebastian said he's learning so much. I know he's been really quiet. He's just learning. This is so valuable, Juliet. I can't tell you how valuable this is. I'm gonna repurpose this everywhere. Everybody needs to know about this, because it's not just about the publishing. It's really building your business. It's really understanding your business and building it the right way. This is a huge tool to building your business. Something you talked about with impressions and clicks. Yes, you can probably get, like if you have a podcast or if you have a web show or something like that, impressions and clicks can be valuable, but this assessment tool used correctly for an advertiser, you are having actual real metrics that you can share with to get advertising dollars.
Yes.
That's another profit stream, because now you can say, okay, my list is not 5 or 10,000, but you know what? The 500 people I have, they buy. Yep. This is what they're interested in. This is what they want. And if I say so, boom, they will be interested. They will go to your website. They will check you out. Mm-hmm. That is so much more powerful than a 10,000 dead list or 50,000 impressions or clicks and no purchases have been had. You know?
That is very true. So especially like if you're a podcaster, remember iTunes or whatever platform you're using, they actually own your stats. If you have solid material, solid analytics, and you go to a potential sponsor and say, look, big book company or publishing company, I have 3,000 downloads a month, and these people are telling me that they are looking for a publisher. Chances are you're going to get a little bit of sponsorship money. And if it's not, it might not be a huge amount, but it might be enough to actually cover your podcast costs. And for a lot of us, that's what we're looking for, is nice. The money to cover those costs.
Cover the nut. Cover your nut. So, yeah. Hi, Santosh. You just woke up. Good. Watch it. It's really valuable, Santosh. That's Sebastian's mama.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's like 4 a.m. or something. She wakes up to watch the show. We're running out of time, but I really want to just ask you this question between, like, give me, what is the difference between actually going to a big publisher? What are the requirements and that kind of stuff versus self-publishing?
So self-publishing, you own all the rights to your book, so you can use it in any way you want. You can repurpose it. You don't need permission. You're going to pay for it, so be prepared to pay. And you also get a lot of feedback for design. Well, all the feedback, because you own all the rights. If you go to a traditional publisher, you're going to lose the rights to your book. They will take it. They will edit it and make it into a mass market product, which for some people is really good. They're going to have all the control over audiobooks. They're going to have control over the cover. They're going to have a lot of control. Now, here's the downside of that. The downside of self-publishing is a self-published book, unless you can put it up to a bestseller list, a credible bestseller list, may not have the credibility that a traditionally published book has. So you have to really weigh which route you want to go. Now, to kind of compound that and make it a little bit more complicated, if you don't have a platform with a traditional publisher, you can forget it. They're in business to make money, and they want to know that you're going to bring an audience that will at least break even and hopefully bring them a profit on that book. Right. So you have to go in with the metrics. They change the metrics all the time. It used to be you could have a big list. Now they want to see the open rate on your list because people have dead lists. Used to be that you could have a big social media following. We can all go out and buy followers. So you really have to jump through some hoops to make sure that you have a big audience before they take a chance on you. You don't need that so much with self-publishing, because remember, a lot of times with self-publishing, this is a loss leader for a business.
Yes.
So you really have to decide which you want to go with, and if you can get that traditional contract. The other thing about the traditional contract is that it can take 18 to 24 months for them to publish the book. So you
can do your surveys, you can do your assessments.
Well, but you have to.
But that's still backwards because you don't have the data to actually put in the book.
Self-publishing, if you came to me today with a fully edited, ready to go manuscript, I could have a book out within 6 to 8 weeks. So it just depends on what you want to do.
Wow. Juliet, you have been such a wealth of knowledge. I definitely want to have you back on Dramaniac because there's more to explore. There's so much more. And we're going to have a conversation outside of this about the assessment tool because I need it. And so if you want to know more about Juliet, you want to get in touch with Juliet, please go to dramaniac.com. So we can connect you to Juliet or look her up on social media, Juliet Clark. And I'm going to be making some connections for her too, because there's some people who want to connect with her. And so I just loved having you on. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this show with me. And hopefully we've given people some great tips to help them be more confident in their next step if they're thinking about publishing.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Don't go anywhere. Stay in the green room. We'll be back with you. Let me just close out the show. So you have been watching the Audacious Confidence Show, all about promoting, profiting, and publishing your next book with Juliet Clark as my guest. And this was a phenomenal show. If you are just joining us, you got to watch the replay. That's all I got to say. And so until next time, this is your host, Alicia Couri, the Red Carpet CEO, signing off. And here at Dramaniac TV, we like to say, you dream big, we make it happen. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to be a guest or nominate someone to be a guest, please go to www.dreamaniac.com. It's right on the bottom screen there, dreamaniac.com. And if you want to know anything more about our guests, you can email us at studio@dreamaniac.com to find out anything about what you heard on this show. And so until next time, next Tuesday night, stay safe, stay well, love you. Mwah! Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, Alicia here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that episode of the Audacious Confidence Show, check out more of the episodes that we have right there. And don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss another episode of the Audacious Confidence Show.